You are watching the Dark Fantastic Network.
One of the greatest horror movies of all time is actually about revolutions. Although White Zombie, released in 1932, and starring Bela Lugosi, is considered the first zombie movie ever made in popular culture and to most filmgoers, Night of the Living Dead, released in 1968, and co-written and directed by George Romero, is the true originator of the genre. With its stripped-down story about a group of people trying to survive an attack of flesh-eating zombies while trapped in a rural Pennsylvania farmhouse, and graphic scenes of violence and bloodshed, Night of the Living Dead broke taboos and box office records when it was first released to drive-ins in 1968, making over $20 million at the box office, from a budget of a little over $100,000. With the film's nihilistic tone, brutal violence, and controversial ending featuring the cold-blooded killing of a black man, Night of the Living Dead was perceived by some as a charged political allegory. But its exact meaning always remained elusive. In an interview in 1972, Romero addressed this issue, saying, "We had no preconceived notion as to the role being a black role. Dwayne came in, he looked right, he read well, so we used him. We never took any further note of it. It's not mentioned in the script at all, although I know we're getting a lot of press comment over that fact." Many critics took the film as an allegory about the civil rights movement and the violent backlash to it in the American South. Others picked up on the film's original title, Night of Anubis, Anubis being an Egyptian god who is supposed to lead the dead against the living at the end times, and thought the film dealt with the concept of an uprising of the weak against the powerful. But in an interview for Film Comment magazine in 1977, Romero makes clear his true intentions, saying, "I wrote a short story which dealt with a revolutionary society coming into being in the form of a zombie society, and it was a trilogy right from the jump. In part 1, they appear, but operative society seems to be staying on top of it. In part 2, there's an equal balance, with the outcome undecided. In the third part, it's the zombies who are operative, in a society where the humans are little dictators, down in bomb shelters, and the operative humans have to be out feeding the zombies, and keeping law and order. In that layer of society we'll ultimately get our hope. Those are the characters we'll be able to care about." Lugosi and White Zombie always lived in a castle while the zombies went out to pick the sugar cane. It's part 1 that we turned into Night of the Living Dead. Most of Romero's subsequent films had an element of socio-political commentary to them, including Jack's Wife, also known as Season of the Witch, released in 1972. The Crazies, released in 1973. Creep Show, released in 1982. And Bruiser, released in 2000. Night of the Living Dead spawned a successful franchise that includes 5 official sequels, released between 1978 and 2009, all of which were directed by Romero. An official remake, written by Romero and directed by Tom Savini, was released in 1990, and has also gained a small cult following. In 1999, the film was deemed culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant by the Library of Congress, and selected for preservation in the National Film Registry. Some argue that the film, despite its technical limitations, was selected because of its perceived political undertones. For more videos like this, please subscribe to the Dark Fantastic Network.